Hello and welcome. This is Lisa Jones, and you are listening to the Exploring Death podcast. Hello and welcome. It's Lisa Jones with the Exploring Death podcast. And today I have with me Austyn Wells. Austyn is a spiritual medium, grief counselor, and soul gardener who empowers individuals to create soul-centered lives. She combines intuition and mediumship with shamanism, energy medicine, and sacred ceremony. As an author, lecturer, guest medium, and teacher, Austyn developed the Divine Spark cards, which assist both developing mediums and grief counselors to inspire healing conversations with their clients, as well as the Divine Insight cards, which assist anyone who wishes to listen to the wisdom of their soul. And she also has a brand new book called Soul Conversations, which is being released actually on February 2nd, which just happened. So be sure to look for her book on Amazon and all the other bookstores that are out there. So welcome, Austyn.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Oh, you're so welcome. I am so excited to talk to you because I've been doing this whole series with mediums recently, and I find the connection of talking to somebody else that is connected to this realm beyond us so invigorating and exciting. And we were just chatting before we started recording this, and the sense of community with mediums, I guess I've never really felt it before. And so this is the first time for me. How about you? What's your experience with?
I've been incredibly blessed with some mediums really pulling me under their, not so much tutelage, but within their communities. So there's an English medium, Robert Brown, American psychic medium, John Edward, Suzanne Northrup, who is an East Coast medium and probably one of the first mediums that made it possible for women as mediums to be respected. And I've been very blessed because all of the three of them have been very inclusive with me. So I feel very lucky in that regard. But I also find sometimes like there's just certain mediums you just click with, and then you just can, and it's so nice because it's a weird conversation that not everybody understands when you talk about the things that transpire within sessions. So
absolutely
cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool. And that's why I love these conversations, because I feel like it's kind of an insider's view of, you know, of us mediums, because people are fascinated with the topic and how do you do it and all of that. So it's super exciting and juicy, I think, to have these conversations.
Yes. I love the word juicy, and I would totally agree. I mean, I just feel so blessed to do the work, because to know that I have this passion piece that for the rest of my life is a daily exploration and a learning, because I'm Gemini, so I like to learn. So to have this experience where every single session really has opportunities to create even more of a connection and learn more, it's so humbling. And I know that my work is best when I really hold that space of deep gratitude, humility, and kind of childlike wonder about like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Right. Yeah. That curiosity factor is so huge, because I think it just keeps you just wanting, you know, more and more, and, you know, what does this mean? And, you know, it just takes you down that path, which is so exciting. So how did you get started, Austyn? I'm super excited to hear your awakening story.
Well, I know that sometimes when you do your podcast, you talk about death experiences. So I kind of was listening to that question on a bunch of different levels, because how I became aware of the spirit world is a slightly different conversation than how death has impacted my soul. So I love the death question because I think it's a gorgeous one. It speaks to the fact that death is such a beautiful transformer of consciousness. I sat with a woman yesterday in a session who had been Catholic most of her life and had really been informed of a very specific availability of the spirit world. It wasn't until her mother passed that all of a sudden she got this idea that there's more. So my early life gave me this idea of more. But I think my grandmother, my dad's mom, said to me very saliently when I was probably 9, she would be able to be more connected to me when she died. And
Wow.
this was out of the blue, driving her home from Christmas. And I remember being really shocked by the honesty and the transparency of her wisdom. And then she died.
Wow.
So I was getting ready for a business trip, and I was looking in my office for a binder, and I knew there was a blank binder in my office, and there was a shelf behind my desk. And I turned my back, and all of a sudden I heard this noise, and I heard this ka-thunk, and I turned around, and the binder that I had looked on that shelf endlessly had flown across my desk and landed open on the floor. And automatically I felt her soul. So
Wow.
that was the first time I felt a personal reach out from the spirit world, where it wasn't guides or people assisting me, where it was an ancestor going, hey, by the way, we can help. That would probably be the one that really stands out to me. I've had a near-death experience, I've had those things, but that one was the first time I went, huh, they can do stuff, can't they?
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And as I'm just curious, when you were 9 and she said that to you, did it scare you, or did it have any fear around it?
I think I was just, my family wasn't a big communicating family. We didn't talk truth like that. So I think my first was the fact that it was like, oh, this is like a really serious thing to say. And then it was incredibly deep. And I had an awareness of being wise when I was young. And I think there might have been a little bit of an ego with it, which is really funny because I don't think of myself as an ego person, but I was like, hola, I'm really spiritually developed, like at 8 years old, seriously, whatever. So I think she had fun with me because I really modeled myself after her because she was just incredibly profound. So the minute she said it, it was just so, I felt like we were outside of time when she said it. It's like the dimension shifted in the car. So it was like, okay, I'm listening now.
Wow. Well, it's so funny because the words that just popped into my head, and then I double checked. I'm like, it's like it was a soul conversation, which is just so ironic because that's the name of your new book.
Well done, Lisa. Extra point.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and
But I
it's
think
funny.
sometimes that happens, right? Where you have this deep, incredible, connecting conversation. And I truly believe that is, soul conversation with somebody at that moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad it sings to you too, because the minute that title like distilled, I was like, oh, it's like that's it. That's
That's
it.
right. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, that's amazing.
yeah.
So as a child, then were you experiencing, people talking to you, or what kind of spirit encounters did you have when you were young?
Um, I was in a fashion show when I was 5, and I was completely nervous about the experience. I couldn't really go to my mom. She wasn't that type to wake up in the middle of the night and tell her you were concerned about stuff. So I learned to be very independent as a child. So I relied upon, the spirit world, and I didn't really consciously do it. It's just I hadn't learned not to do it yet. So I just said, I need help. And then all of a sudden, the walls of my room started to morph, and all these people came into my room. Now, there were a lot of people in my room, but I wasn't afraid at all. They just seemed kind and loving. This one woman came to the side of my bed. She looked into my eyes. She spoke from her soul, so there was no language. And she helped me understand she was there for me. And when she asked me what I needed, I just relayed back in the same kind of energetic soul conversation that I was scared. My room became 2 realities. So I was in the room with her, but I looked over to my right, and then there was the runway of the next day. And she gave me the gift of witnessing the whole experience, like in kind of like I could fast forward it. So I was a bridesmaid with all this ridiculous tulle, and I just thought I was gonna like face plant. And then I went up the stairs. So I got to watch myself, not elegantly, but at least I got through it. And then she had me, once I knew I was okay, then she had me shift to the audience and feel how much the audience wanted me to succeed. And then she had me shift to the energy of the entire room. And I felt the support within all spaces. And once I had that awareness, like I was going to be fine, Then I found myself back in my room, back in the bed with just her. All the other people had kind of left. And I went to sleep after that, being comforted, knowing I'd be fine. And I didn't fall the next day. So it was good.
Wow, that's a great story, a great
Yeah.
experience to have that. And how wise of you to be able to even imagine to just ask for help out of nowhere,
Well,
that's
and I appreciated the fact she also gave me, such a wise lesson about the availability of time, and also this idea of there are perfect moments ahead of you, but if we envision other moments, we might disrupt the frequency of the perfection. And it's such an, you can look back on it now and see kind of that co-creation idea there. But it was really helpful for me to have that awareness, because I've always been optimistic. And the times that I haven't been, that memory comes back up. And I'm like, oh, right. So how am I front loading a moment that really could be something so very different? And I'm not giving it the possibility of being perfect in whatever definition perfect is.
right. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wow. So are there any other standout experiences that you want to share or that come to mind?
I've learned so much by talking with children in the spirit world. They educate me more probably about the dying process. Their soul connection with their parents is often that they are trying to comfort them, because they can feel, as a medium, they feel what we go through and they witness it. And especially for a child's relationship with a parent is always that they want to please their parent, for sure. So I was reading for this woman, and her son had been killed tragically in San Francisco. And he was being so gracious with my soul. His name's Jordan. And he helped me see himself at the death scene. And I realized where I, as a medium, was limiting the information that was coming through, because I was trying to focus on what had happened instead of what was happening. So again, that idea of two realities going on at the same time, because I realized Jordan was having me stand there for a reason. And when I checked in with Jordan, instead of like worrying about getting the information right, which I'm sure as a medium, you understand.
I totally get that.
He was teaching me, and I'm like, okay, goofy human, excuse me, let me listen. And he said, look around. So he had me do a 360 purview, and there were so many people supporting this moment, including his soul having a very objective view of his body, but standing outside of his body. But there was somebody standing next to him that was very, very tall. And I remember thinking, that looks like Jordan's dad, Matt, who was a friend of mine. And I thought, God, this is just strange. It looks like Matt, but Matt's living. That doesn't make any sense. So then I went into Matt's family, and his dad was shorter, so that didn't make any sense. And then I thought, well, that's just bizarre. So when I kind of came out of this surreal moment back with the person I was sitting with, I said, they knew Matt. I said, has Matt ever talked about being with Jordan when he passed? Because he looked to me like he was standing with Jordan. So she said, no, I haven't ever had the discussion. Well, she talked to him, and sure enough, Matt was convinced he was there when Jordan died.
Wow.
So he was literally having, this idea of being in multiple places at the same time, which we all experience. He was literally there. And then I was able to, through Jordan's permission and love, affirm to Matt that actually had transpired. So Matt wrote a book called Seeking Jordan, which is a beautiful book for anybody that wants to explore how a man from a science background was so challenged by his son's death and needed that connection that he sought a different soul communication with his son, and as a result is a very different human being as a result of it. So
that's fascinating.
Those moments, and I'm sure you have these as mediums, but you sit there thinking, if I get in I think where mediums can misstep, because if you get in your ego about it, you're missing the whole gift. Our job is to be the best witness and to just relay the information. And if you just surrender to the moment you're being shown, there's so much more there. But I
Absolutely.
suppose it's also like a great way of looking just at life and living. Because if we surrender to the moment and you notice there's just so much there, then your life has fuller meaning too. So I think they teach us so much about living life more consciously.
Wow. That, what you just said is, my mind is like
It's like,
exploding with, I love it so much because, as you said, there's so much going on. First of all, it sounds like a shared death experience is what Matt had with his son. You know, he left his
yep.
his physical body and then went to witness, because I did that with my husband who passed away. I had a shared death experience where I went to heaven, quote unquote, and saw the preparations just as he was walking in, and it completely changed my entire life. And then the night that, well, my mom had a stroke, she actually didn't die. This was another thing that I learned, is that she came out of her body. Her soul came to me as I was getting ready to fly to Hawaii to see her in the hospital. And I thought she had actually died, because it was such a all-encompassing
Wow.
soul connection with her that I was like, oh my God, she died. I don't even want to know. I'm just going to get on the plane and get there. And because I can't deal with this, you know. But sure enough, I got to the hospital and she sat up in bed and she looked at me with her eyes and then laid down, and that was it. I mean, it was 5 more days before she passed, but she was in and out of her body, which I didn't know that was even really a possibility. So we do have so much to learn. And I always like to say, I have no idea really what the answer is, because this is just a slice of what I see. And like you said, you know, you being there, what a beautiful gift that Jordan gave you to be able to witness and look and observe and to learn new ways of being, because I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, and it just realizing the gift of empathy, connecting to another's hearts, and how much is actually shared, and how if we buy into, you know, just the material plane of existence, everything's separate from each other. But in the spiritual understanding of things, everything's connected. So there's an inherent duality in how we perceive everything. But the gift of mediumship, I always find, is in noticing and asking the questions of the why of the connections, and how is it a gift to the soul. And if I am solid believer that we choose the people we align with and affiliate with, because it evolves. And to me, the whole point is evolution. So that's again where I just feel like when I have a mediumship session, it's like, oh, goody, where are we going today? And then when I've studied, because I also studied hypnosis and past life regression and then shamanic, you know, soul retrieval, then I had like even more abilities to go, okay, cool, now where are we going to go? So to use those sessions as mechanisms to help people meet their guides, or to help people explore connecting with a loved one if they feel, and especially when the parents feel like they can't connect to children, to have that ability to kind of remind them that the finite aspect of them, the part that has the ego and the personality, is the part that's decided they can't, but their infinite self, that fullness, that spiritual connection, knows that we're always connected. So to kind of reconnect those dots for people, I think it's the gift of what our work does, is that it reminds people of the beauty of human connection.
That's amazing. I
really
love it.
Necessary right now.
It really is. It really is. And the multidimensional aspect of us is so unknown. I think that's the part of the whole materialist world that I don't get, is how they think it's like, well, we know. And I'm like, yeah, but everything you've ever known seems to always evolve into something else. So what's to say that we're done knowing? You know, it's always evolving. It's always something new. And I think people are really opening their minds to see that there is more and more and more, because I mean, you know, mediumship even 10 years ago was taboo, more or less. I mean, you know, I feel like we're just coming to this new age of acceptance, and people's curiosity is getting the best of them, I'll say.
Yeah. Well, and I think the term skeptic is such a funny one, because a skeptic is actually somebody that has beliefs in it. They just haven't had proof to substantiate the curiosity of it. So
Right.
skeptics aren't disbelievers. But I also feel it's necessary in our profession. I don't have any interest in convincing someone of something. That's not what my job is. My job is to facilitate the next level of a soul's evolution. And if this is a healing component and it's something that is helpful for their soul to move with a little bit more grace and ease into the next moment of their life, then it's perfect. But I think
Yes.
you need people that have a different opinion. That's the beauty of the diversity of our culture.
Right.
So I think we can definitely be better at honoring the differences within each other. And because a homogenized idea is interesting, but it's kind of like a watercolor painting that has kind of just gotten, it needs, like, the outlines, it needs the difference, it needs the hues, the lights and the dark, it needs all of it to have the definition.
Absolutely. And for the skeptics, I mean, that's their soul's path, right? Like you said, they just need more information, or in my experience, there's no amount of information that you can give them that will change their mind. I mean, maybe eventually if they have their own near-death experience, but I think it's about them coming to terms with it through their own experience, rather than trying to get proof from a medium.
Yeah. Well, and then I think if the medium, because it's kind of an Achilles heel with a medium, and I find it with sometimes in the younger aspects of my work, I think I would have tried a different way. But now I think the nice part about it is it's just like you just can feel the resistance. And the thing is that everybody has resistance in things. And it's about just respecting that resistance instead of trying to fix it, change it, or alter it. And oftentimes just that acceptance is what that person needs, is just the fact, like, you're good, we're good, we can talk about other things.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I love it. I love it.
You like, you can talk about so many other things.
That's exactly right. Well, how about I pull a few cards? I'm so excited today.
I love it.
You've got some cards that you're actually going to pull.
I know.
So let me, I'll start with my soul coaching cards here. And
have fun. Are these ones that you created?
No, I would love to. These are my teacher Denise Lynn's cards called Soul Coaching.
How lovely.
Cards. Yeah, do you know Denise?
I don't know her personally, but I know her work and it's beautiful.
Yes, I've worked with her so many years ago, and these cards, they just have always resonated with me, and I figure, hey, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So the first card is the blockage card. I pulled 3 cards, and so it's success. So what I'm getting there is that you are just on this meteorite success. Like whatever success you've had so far is just the beginning. I mean, truly, with this new book coming out and you just following your soul's path, and I just keep getting, the more you're you, the more success, is coming your way. Yeah. And so your action card is sanctuary. It's, taking more time for yourself and really making sure that you don't blow yourself out, as the words coming through, like don't overdo it. Does that make sense to you?
Slightly.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so funny when I got my book. I videotaped it because I was by myself and I wanted to personally remember the moment, and then I posted a little bit on Facebook, and I got it and I was like, wow, 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 wow. And then I had to laugh at myself because my next thought was like, okay, now what? And I was like, okay, could you just like stop that? But it's so true. You get on that trajectory of like, okay, now what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it's like, no, just be with this. Oh my God, this is the best. This is the closest thing to giving birth this girl's gonna know.
For sure. Right. Yeah.
A child.
Writing a book is totally having another child. It's a huge labor of love.
Have you written a book?
Yes. Yes. And it was a long, agonizing, beautiful process, but wow. Everyone keeps saying, when's your second book coming out? I'm like, no time soon, because I can't even go there right now. I'm still having labor pains.
And postpartum depression.
That's right.
Or postpartum avoidance would be another way
Right.
of looking at it. Yeah, I was talking to a fellow author yesterday, and it was just like, dear Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I think the funniest part to me that I didn't realize, and it's only until you go through the process, is once I finished writing it, I'm like, yes, pop the champagne. I'm done. Well, no, that's just the beginning of all of the other steps that are almost more arduous than writing the whole book was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the marketing part, which is
right.
a whole
Yes.
other thing into
Which is
itself.
a whole nother thing into it.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Yes.
anyway, so be sure to, as I say, take time for sanctuary and reflection and just really patting yourself on the back for all that you do. And then your outcome card, which I love, is it's just opening, which is even more. It's a big, beautiful heart. And, you're just going to continue to open and open and open, but this is, your opening. This is they're saying it's like your debut onto, the Broadway showcase,
See, now I would say you're psychic. That's hilarious, because the last client I just had, like, who literally walked out the door, most of the last bit of our conversation was all about Broadway musicals.
Oh my gosh.
So it's hilarious that you're picking up on the language that's still kind of like ringing in my office.
Well, because as I'm saying Broadway, I'm like, why am I saying this Broadway? So thank you for that confirmation. So wonderful.
That's the Broadway Tourette's that you're.
That's right. Yes, I'm getting the reverb.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you want me to pull cards for you?
Yes, I would love that. Okay. I would love that. So which deck are you using?
I'm going to use my Divine Insight deck, which is this one. And they're hex shaped, so they kind of honeycomb together.
Nice.
And people use them for, intuitive insight, but I also have practitioners use them. So when they're dealing with clients and clients get stuck, it's a different way of kind of working through. So let's see. Do you have any question in particular? Or you just want me to pick?
I think just pick whatever spirit guides you to.
Okay, picking 3, because then
okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the first, this is hilarious. So this is your first one. Okay.
It's for my listeners. It's a Buddha. It's a Buddha.
Yeah, it's a Buddha. Yeah, what it is it's a picture of a very quiet, stone, happy Buddha.
Yes.
Happy, very content. I know this path that you're on is not something that you planned. I know this was not where you started at all. And in fact, given your family, God love you for picking this path, because I feel like if there's a term black sheep, you're
oh yeah,
like disco colors all over you, and you're
maybe that's why they've all died.
Colors.
Right. Yeah. They've all died. So I'm here on my own to do this journey alone,
Yeah. But it's also giving you, it's also kind of role reverse. So now people are actually in the family coming to you because they understand that what your perspective is. So not only are you doing healing for other people, you're doing so much work for your family and being a big advocate of why our souls are here. It's fascinating to me how your initial role in the family is so different from who you are now. Like who they thought you were and who you've become are so different. And so I love that. There's actually 2 cards for the second position, which I find interesting. So it's a telescope and a handprint in the sand. I also am appreciating, and I think this is a great thing for people to hear, you've already, I mean, I know we all have this desire to make a difference in the world. Yours is incredibly heart-centered, and I can really feel that. And it comes from a really deep willingness to serve. And because of that change in how you look at things, the opportunities that are now starting to come to you out of wanting to do something to just be of service to other people, the networks that you're building, and the opportunities to travel to the United States also that might be happening either on a speaking level or on a group participation level will be expanding as a result of that. But I equally feel that you've just kind of tapped into it and that it's just starting to become. So you may also find that as the podcast expands, because you've done lots of these, it's amazing. that it's really kind of becoming a different kind of a conversation. So I appreciate the fact that there's flexibility with that for sure. Oh, this is such an interesting one. So the last one is a tourmaline egg. The other component of it, and it's interesting because it mirrors what you said to me, your self-care has totally changed too, because you hit a crisis point that you couldn't navigate. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And as a result of it, your spirituality actually is even more profound, because Lisa, I would never have a doubt that you wouldn't do anything. It's really moving, actually. You would do anything for anybody to help them through something. But then there came a time when you needed divine help. And I don't know if the structure for that support was there for you, because you'd spent so much time nurturing others that you had big needs that I think you kind of found like, I'm kind of a little bit on my own here. Yes. So the beauty of what you're creating now is you have this sacred, it looks like, group of women in particular that really nurture and honor your soul. And they're not all in the same place. They're kind of spread out a bit. But that strength, that adopted family, is kind of the feeling I get from it, is spurring so much creativity. And I like literally feel like part of it's personal, but part of it's also work related as well. So I think where you're going again is just like your gift has just started being shared. So I think we're kind of both in a really interesting, similar synchronicity position. So yes. I'm really glad we've met.
Oh my gosh, me too. This was so meant to be. And your reading is so right on. I just have to, I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
yeah. But I think the beauty, one of the things that I don't think people understand about mediumship is we really get an opportunity to sit with an individual soul and celebrate them, because the spirit world will never come in and make you feel diminished about your life. They will help you heal, they'll help you release, but they will empower for sure. So when I connect to somebody's heart like yours, who really wants to be of service, who really wants to make a difference, it's breathtaking. So thank you for caring the way that you do, and also for translating your tragedy into hope.
Wow, thank you.
Because I know his passing was not expected at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it certainly was not planned. I mean, it was ultimately, he had it was a 7-year battle with cancer, but, I wanted the fairy tale, get married once and, live forever. And so, it definitely rocked my world. So.
Yeah. Handsome guy though.
Thank you. Yes. And we have two beautiful children.
Man. My
2 beautiful children are my, they were really what got me through it. And now they're 25 and 23. I can't believe it.
Oh my God. You do not look like you have children that age. So.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I don't even know if you know, I'm a former CPA. So yeah, being a medium is not at all.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. When they were giving me the analogy of like, she's a little different now, I was thinking, I wonder what that looks like. But yeah, a CPA, that would absolutely be like completely like,
right.
You're doing what?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And my full family, again, I mean, I couldn't even tell like my dad what I was doing. I'm just like, I just go speak on stages and you don't need to know any more about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. Well, and how can people, connect with you? What's your website? And I'll have all the links and everything on the page, but just to help people in case they're just listening.
Okay. So my website is my name, which is Austyn Wells, and that's AustynWells.com. I have my products on there, which are my Divine Insight cards, which come in a little hex box, and those were the ones I did the reading with. I have a deck of cards called the Divine Spark cards, which help mediums develop. They're carried at the Arthur Findlay College in England, which is
fabulous.
And they also help grief counselors create healing conversations with their clients, which is kind of fun. And then which is like crazy. It's so weird. Didn't you have like the weirdest reaction when you actually got the book? It's just
Oh,
like,
yes.
wow.
Yeah.
So my book is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, Indie Bound, and on my site as well. And as a result of that, I'm traveling different places promoting it. So you can go to my website and go to the event page and you'll see, Chicago and Santa Barbara and
Fantastic.
Hawaii and
Hawaii, yes.
Yes.
And we're hoping to plan an event.
Yes.
So
I'm excited.
Stay tuned to everybody for if you're in Hawaii and listening sometime in March when Austyn is here, we're going to put something together. So wonderful. Well, wow, what an honor, Austyn. Truly, thank you for your time. This was such a divine gift that we were able to connect today. And I'm just so thrilled to have met you.
Lisa, thank you so much. I just have had such a good time, and I'm honored to know that you're doing the work that you're doing, because I can tell how genuine it is.
Thank you for listening to the Exploring Death podcast. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any financial or legal decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Exploring Death. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.